What's standing in your way? If you're dealing with issues or addictions in your life, you may want to come right back down to your early childhood and really think about the beliefs that are driving you perhaps in the wrong direction. Thanks for watching WowBiz TV. I'm Lynn Hinderocker, and I'm here with Diane Rohlfs. She's a certified hypnotherapist at 117th and Arbor in West Omaha, Nebraska. Diane, thanks for joining me. Tell me, what's the deal with emotions? You know, we're all taught to live our lives objectively and scientifically and be logical and so on, but I know you have tremendous insight into emotions and how we're responding to those. What's the basic chain of effect, so to speak?
Okay, your thoughts create your perceptions. Your perceptions create your beliefs and your feelings.
Okay, all right. So why is that an issue or not an issue for us as we come here to your facility? How do feelings get in the way or cause us to get caught up in an addiction or whatever?
Well, Lynn, did you know you have 40,000 thoughts a day?
40,000 thoughts a day? No, I didn't know I had 40,000
Yes,
thoughts
do.
a day. My goodness. And are all of them conscious thoughts, or how does that go?
No, you're only aware of about 8,000 of them. Your subconscious mind is handling the rest, like your habits and things like that. That's what's stored in your subconscious mind.
Okay, so I would call that kind of conditioned behavior.
Okay, yeah.
All right. And so I'm assuming that comes from our early childhood primarily, right?
Usually, consider your subconscious mind as if it were a big computer. Your files are created usually before the age of 8 years old. Okay. And then everything you see, feel, hear, and touch goes in to reinforce those files as you get older.
It's interesting. So as we move out of those early years and we have perceptions and different things happen to us, are we putting all that in the same files? Do they basically just reinforce the same assumptions we learned when we were 3, or is it new, or what? Can we evolve?
They reinforce those files because you don't want to wake up every day and not remember how to eat, sleep,
and rethink everything.
You don't want to do that, yeah.
Right,
so
right.
You're running on habits, all of us are. And those same files are being edited and edited and edited. We just keep adding stuff to them all the time.
So how does this turn into an issue for us? Basically, what I think you're implying, I'm reading between the lines here, is that we learn some bad habits, some bad mental habits. We learn to think in certain ways when we're young, and then they come back to sabotage our behavior when we're adults? Is that it?
That's it. Suppose your happiness file was overflowing, okay? You'd be happy and everybody loved being around you and things like that.
Sure.
But suppose a negative file was overflowing, say your anger file. Every time somebody upset you, anger would bust out all over everybody.
Oh yeah, I know people like that.
Yeah, affecting everybody, your health, your family, your job, everything.
Yeah, well, that's obviously something you don't want to have happen. Well, what has happened when we see that kind of behavior? What is going on? What programmed a person to be that way when they were young? Can you give us some insight into that?
Okay, I had a gentleman that came into my office, and he had 3 businesses. He built each one to up to 6 figures, and then he lost each one. So he's sitting there and he's going, I don't understand this. I don't know why I'm doing this.
He had to be extremely guilty and sad, judgmental about himself and so on.
He was. In fact, he told me that if anybody else in his organization had done that, he'd have fired him on the spot, but it felt normal to him when he made the decision.
So our emotions can be faulty. They can be programmed to be erroneous or take us in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
All right, very interesting. Now, this obviously leads to hypnosis as a therapeutic form. I know that, chiropractic used to be out on the edge, and massage therapy, they're now mainstream. I have a feeling, of course, that hypnosis, because of what you just shared with me, is becoming a mainstream therapy. Tell me a little bit about how do you work with somebody when they're in your office here, and what do you do? What does hypnosis actually accomplish?
Okay, we can go back into those files, and we can eliminate the emotions that go with the events in your life. We never eliminate the events in your life, but the emotions that go with it can be eliminated. That way, your file isn't full anymore.
So we see those events still from our childhood, but we see them in a more neutral or less judgmental way, or we're not so, freaked out about something that happened when we were young?
Sure. Okay, this particular gentleman went all the way back to when he was 6 years old.
Okay.
Now, when he was 6 years old, he wanted this little blue bike. Well, Mom and Dad couldn't afford that blue bike, so Dad had to work extra hours. Mom had to save more grocery money, okay? But they got him that bike, and when they got him the bike, he took it to the grocery store. While he was in the grocery store, some bullies stole the bike.
Oh, my goodness.
So upset, he goes home and he has to face Dad, right? So he tells Dad, I lost the bike. So Dad says, you lose everything that's important to you. You will never hold on to anything that's important to you in your life.
Oh, now I'm starting to get what you've told me up to this point. That's like programming the computer, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're trying to tell me that memory and that emotion, I assume guilt and fear and all that, is what somehow forced him to make some bad judgments about all three of these companies.
Absolutely. The thing about it was, consciously, he didn't even remember this event.
Wow. So you took him into more of a trance state or a relaxed state?
A relaxed state, and he went all the way back to that event. And then he said that they brought the bike back shortly after. He got home and told his dad that. So everybody thought everything was fine.
Wow.
But this little 6-year-old subconscious put that memory with that, all of that emotion in the you're not good enough file.
Well, Diane, this is fascinating. Now, at your organization, what do you do exactly? I know that some of these issues are long lasting issues, but you handled many of these in 1, 2, 3, 4 different sessions right here out at 117th in Ann Arbor. How do you do that? Give me the details of that, please.
Okay, like smoking, that's one session.
Okay.
And it has no side effects, not like the medicines people take. And if you're going to deal with something like a fear, fear of snakes, fear of driving, things like that,
Sure.
That's usually 2 sessions. Then if you're going to deal with a too much behavior or self-confidence or speaking in public,
Okay.
that's 4 sessions.
4 sessions.
They're 1.5 hours each, and that's all it takes. In 4 sessions, you can completely change your life from that moment forward.
And you fundamentally help these people go all the way back to their early years and identify these belief systems and these assumptions that are distorted, that are manifesting themselves destructively right now. Is that basically what's going on?
Absolutely. Everybody brings their own story in here, and we deal with their story. It's all individual,
Okay.
and it's not a cookie cutter. We've got to have them change their perception of their life, which changes the beliefs about themselves.
Okay, but they have to see it first. Thus the hypnosis process. All right. Well, Diane Rohlfs at A+ Hypnosis out here in West Omaha, thank you so much for explaining the inside secret, so to speak, of what really goes on in our minds and in our hearts. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker with Wild Biz TV.